Ken Bruce, United States Army, Korea, the Forgotten War. I interviewed Ken in Independence, Missouri. It was May 28, 2008. He told me a great story about his service in Korea. He enlisted in the Army at the age of 16, October 1948, went to Fort Riley, Kansas for basic training, and was assigned to the 490th Light Engineer Company. And in Korea, he was attached to the 187th Regimental Combat Team. He made the Incheon landing in 1950. He was 18 years old, oh my gosh, and fought at the Chosin Reservoir. So, folks, this is another great story from Korea. We need to learn these stories about Korea. He's got 5 Battle Star commissions. He was 77 at the time of this interview, and 91 today. So, Brandon Glidden, again, a great thank you to you for sponsoring these stories, bringing forth these stories from Korea so we would learn and know what happened during the Korean War. It's referred to as a forgotten war, and that's unfortunate. But Brandon, thank you. God bless you, and we'll continue working together. So, hey, if you would like to become a sponsor of one of my stories, just contact me, please. There's information in the video description in the comment section of the video if you'd like to donate to my work, and on my website, larrycapetto.com. So I would encourage you to do so. Freedom is not free, folks. Freedom is earned, and we hear it all the time. It sounds like a cliche, but it's so true. These veterans fought for our freedoms, and I'm happy to bring these stories to you on my Voices of History channel. Ask you to subscribe to this channel, share this channel, and let's just keep this thing going. So thank you for all of those who have supported me in 2022 as we go into 2023. It's going to be a great year, folks, and let's keep this thing going. Like I said, God bless you. Looking that good at 77. What's the secret?
What's the secret?
And you know you look good for your age.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm amazed at my age. I am. I'm surprised. Just being happy and up and going all the time. Wake up with an attitude, I think, is the basic thing that keeps me young. I have a very good attitude. You know, I don't.
Where does that come from? Is that a gift, a skill?
I think probably come from my mother, I'd have to say.
Yeah.
And most of my family. Basically like me. We're talkers, you know, we talk a lot, and we just love each other. You know, I love everybody. That's another thing too, you know, and I'm you know, happy-go-lucky guy. Like I tell any guy, I say, well, you see me, what you see is what you get. You know, that's it.
You ever been sick? You ever get sick?
Never. I don't hardly get sick. I can't place a time. I never had an operation, never had a broken bone. Everything you see here is here. Nothing, no operation, nothing taken out. I only had maybe a couple of headaches in my whole life. I don't get headaches. It's amazing. I'm surprised at myself. I fall down sometimes, you know, never break a bone. At my age, I had a big fall here not too long ago. Yeah. Never hurt a thing.
How did you fall?
Amazing.
Just walking and
I was trying to get to a neighbor of mine to deliver a CD. Yeah. And for some reason I just start falling, you know, stumbling. I'm coming out of my you know. And I just slid on the concrete, you know, and that's one time. But then I had another fall at the post office on ice. Ooh. And
that's not good.
I figured, well, it didn't hurt a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I got up and it was okay. I said, well, look like I'm okay. You know, at my age, you kind of think now, wait a minute now, too many falls may not be good, you know. Yeah. But no problem. I popped right up and was ready to go, man. No problem. Yeah.
What year did you go into the Marine Corps?
I was in the Army.
Okay, the Army. I messed up.
Okay, you're in the Army. I was in the Army. I went in the Army in 1948.
Did you enlist?
I enlisted in 1948.
Tell me why you went into the military.
Why did I go into the military? Well, I'm a farmer boy. I came from the farm. There was not much going on. My father was a farmer, and my brothers were there, and my sisters, and my older brother had gone into service before. Well, he was in World War II. So I thought, well, I think I want to go into service, you know. And my mother and father said, no, you're not going to go in. We're not going to let you go in. Because I was going to quit school and go in, see. And then she said, no, you're not going. So I said, okay, forget it. And then a couple of buddies of mine, we got together and said we was going to go into the service, So he said, I said, okay, we go into the service. So I asked my father, that was that year. The next year I came back, I said, Mom, I said, what about me going into the service? She said, well, you wanted to go so bad the last time, so I will let you go if your daddy, I'll sign the papers. I said I was 16, 17. I will sign the papers if your daddy signed the papers. So I go to Pop, and Pop says, well, I'll sign them if your mother signed them. Well, boy, that went on back and forth, So I finally begged him into going in, and then I was listed it was in August or something like that. I was supposed to go in October, but in the meantime, I lost the papers, and then I got them back again and had to re-sign them. Anyway, I went in October 1948.
So you're 17?
To be the truth with you, I was 16.
Wow.
I put my age up to 17.
Okay. And you went to basic training where?
Fort Riley, Kansas.
What was your job, your MOS? What was your...
A mechanic.
Okay.
I went to mechanical school down in West Virginia. I mean in Fort Lee, Virginia. It was Camp Lee, Virginia at that time. It was all black Army, I guess you know that. It was all black Army in 1948. And I took my AIT in Fort Lee, Virginia, which was Camp Lee, Virginia at that time. Went there, and I went to utility repairman school. And the utility repairman school, they teach you everything. And I was already good at that because I was a mechanic on the farm, working on the farm and tractors and stuff, and learned all this stuff from my father. So I already knew what was going on, electricians and all that stuff. So when I took the tests for the military, I had all these high scores in that field, see. So they said, well, what you want to be? I said, I'll be a mechanic, So I took the mechanic field, and I finished it there at Camp Lee, Virginia there. And then I got shipped from there to Guam. When I went to California, got on the ship and went to Guam. You know where Guam? Went to Guam in the engineers. And I stayed at engineers at Guam there. And the company got transferred from Guam to Okinawa. So there I went from there to Okinawa, and by this time it's 1949, going into 1950. Transferred from Okinawa back to the States in 1950. Fort Lewis, Washington, and that's where I joined the transportation truck company, where we went to Korea. Well, we stayed there about a month or two, and when I was home on vacation, I'll bring this up. When I was home on vacation from Okinawa, my mother said, then the Korean War broke out in June 1950. Well, I was on vacation, 30-day leave. My mother said, well, you'll be going to Korea? I said, oh, no, I just got back, I won't be going, We was at home I won't be going. Anyway, I knew I was going to Fort Lewis, Washington, so they didn't pull me off leave. I got in Fort Lewis, Washington, and joined the unit there in Fort Lewis, Washington, and then wasn't there a month or so. Then we got orders to go to Japan. Well, they said we're going to Japan and we're going to stay there for a while. If we do good, they was telling us this stuff. If you do good in Japan, then you probably won't be going to Korea. Well, this was August, I guess, August. Anyway, we got stationed in Yokohama, Japan, in this truck company, Yokohama Motor Command. We was all there. So during that time, we was hauling ammunition from ammunition dumps to the ships and different things, At that time, I was a mechanic. I was doing the mechanic work and doing some driving at the time. Well, it didn't stay there very long until we came out on order. Said, well, you guys going to Korea to the task force and the invasion of Incheon. 1950, invasion of Incheon. So anyway, they got themselves together, got everybody together, and said, Ken, Bruce, you, and I said, well, I was getting out. You guys going to be on the advance party. So I got on the advance party, got in the LSTs down right there in Japan, where they got on the ships in Japan there. And they shipped us right in there in the LSTs and went into the invasion of Incheon. But we got the task force together. Task force, you have like a big mothership in the middle, and you have all the doctors and the medical in the corner, and you have all these other ships around them, which sat here protecting this mothership, and we was all out there in the LSTs and all that stuff. And then we all moved in towards Incheon. And then we went to Incheon in the LSTs, and I was on the LSTs with the trucks and all this stuff. And then we hit the ground and had to unload the trucks, and that was amazing. That was shocking me. Here I am, an 18-year-old kid, don't know what's going on, And that was it. And then we hit Incheon and we set up camp and set up everything there, and then firing this, that, and the other, and and then the rest of the soldiers came in, and we set up camp there in the trucks and stayed there for, I don't know, before we started moving up. You know, that was a task force to come in from Incheon and to come up and cut them off. See, that's what that was all about.
So that was the fall of 50, Incheon?
Yeah, September 50.
Yeah.
Okay, it was invasion September 50, 1950. Yeah.
You fighting the North Koreans there?
We fight the North Koreans there. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
was it a tough battle? Was it quick? What was?
It was a tough battle. The Marines had gone ahead of us, and they was firing back over us. But it was a tough battle because we was moving it all the way up and going. We was carrying ammunition and all this stuff up for the troops and all the way up, you know. And during that time, we got up there, and this was in September, then October, and in November. And then General MacArthur come talking about we're going to have the boys home for Christmas. So everybody got excited. We're going home for Christmas, you know. But we were moving so fast. I mean, really, the units were moving fast. We were moving. I mean, they was coming behind us, and we was moving so fast going up. We went all the way to I went all the way to the Manchurian border. I went all the way to Pyongyang. I went all the way to Pyongyang, got up there, and then that's when. Shortly after that, forget the year or what time, I guess when the Chinese came in. Well, then we start to come back. Well, my unit was in right up from Incheon, right on up there, about Seoul, right there by Seoul, Korea. And we went all the way up to the Manchurian border. But in the meantime, we got run back. The Chinese came in and the Koreans, and they started running back. Well, we started moving back real fast. In fact, we almost didn't get back far. I was with the advanced truck company up there, and our other company was here. So they had to come up to go around to get back to Busan, because it was caught on like a little nook here. So we was coming back here, so we had to come back and get them and then go back. We finally got back and made it, and then we pushed it back, probably back to Wonju back there, and going on back, back to Busan, and they stabilized there, and they put the perimeter around Busan to as far as we're going to go, and this, that, and the other. And then, all other kind of things took place after that,
Wow. Now, how about beyond Incheon? Were you there for the Chosin Reservoir?
Yeah, I was there to 1952.
Wow. So this.
I put 16 months in. President Truman gave us a year. He extended us a year, so we had to stay a year over there. We got the Truman year, and I also got the Eisenhower year in the service. I got 2 years extension that that was going to get out. I didn't get out. Yeah. So
walk me into October, November of 50 into the Chosin Reservoir, and just tell me what you remember about all that, Ken.
Oh, okay.
And your involvement.
My involvement. Well, we went up. We was going all the way up to the frozen Chosin up through there, and. Well, so the things I've seen, it's unreal. It was the coldest winter there, like 40 below zero. The other guys all say it was the same thing. And I've seen some things I've never seen before. This was in the wintertime. This is the winter months. And I saw military soldiers, us, me being new, trucks of bodies, American soldiers just like frozen cattle in the trucks. I said, where they were bringing them back, and we had them in trucks and haul them. I said, I never seen anything like it. And so we was moving all up, and then they pushed back on us, and they pushed back on our tanks. We had guys bleeding all over the tanks. All this stuff was going on at the time. I was going up through there, and then we had the Turks fighting with us, and we had the French fighting with us on the side. I don't want to say it's about the French, but the French didn't have all that much equipment. They didn't have the right stuff. We was giving some of our things, and things were going on. The Turks were the meanest soldiers and the fighters in the country. I can say they really was there, But those North Koreans didn't take no pity on nobody, or during this time was North Koreans and Chinese. They shot up our ambulances. I don't know if you know, when we was over there, we had to paint the numbers off that. We couldn't have a cross on the ambulance. It was painted olive draft over. And we went up to pick up ambulance, and I was there, went up to pick up an ambulance, and where they had the wounded soldier already in the ambulance. Well, they shot up the ambulance, re-shot him again inside the ambulance, and blood was all over the place. It was a mess. It was a mess. And then another time when we was moving on farther up in the above Wanju and another, I forget the place. That's where my buddy got hit with a mortar in his leg. Well, I didn't see him after that. We drove in, it was Wanju. We drove into this area with our trucks and everything. We hauling white phosphorus and napalm and all this stuff. And it was kind of stupid what we did. My buddy and I, we pulled in there, and this other guy that I was driving with, he said, Kenny, I'm going to go over here and get in, well, I pulled into like a riverbed. And I said, okay, you go on over there and do your thing, okay. I said, but I'm not going to go over there. I'm going to just hang over here and go over here and mess around, you know. Well, we no more than got there, pulled in there, and he started on over there. I said, well, I'm gonna go over here. Well, he went here, and we went there 15 minutes, pulled in and got our trucks in, so they started throwing mortars in on us. Well, the mortar that got him blew his leg off, and took him out in a helicopter. I never did see him more after that. But I was just thinking, if I had gone with him, I probably wouldn't be here today. So I went straight on over here with my other buddy, Lomax, over there. And then, of course, we just pulled in there. Well, when they started shelling us like they were, well, everybody hit the ground. We hit the ground, started digging foxholes, falling over top of each other and everything else, you know. I fought with a lot of older soldiers, World War II guys, you know, and the World War II guy was in my unit, you know, and a lot of the older guys, they'd been through it before, but it was really something to see how they reacted. Because, see, here I am, a young guy, and when I went in, I had this attitude that I don't care, I'm going to make it, and I mean, I'm tough. I'm going to be tough. Well, here I didn't look all that tough, but I'm going to be tough. I'm going to make it, you know. This is the first thing when I hit. I'm going to make it. I don't care what happened. You know, this, that, and that. Then I noticed some of the other soldiers, they weren't as forward as I was, maybe a little scared, just because they had family back home, wives and kids, I mean. And they wouldn't take the chances that some of us other guys would take it, you know. So that's probably one reason I said, well, these guys, when they come to food and stuff like this and seeing dead bodies laying all around, some of these guys couldn't eat. That didn't bother me a bit. I said, I'm here. I got to do it. The guy said, you want my rations? Well, yes, give me, you know, I got to eat them. I can't eat. Man, you got to eat, man, you got to eat. So I took it and I ate. Oh, you can see dead bodies laying all in these gullies. You could just, when you're in Korea there and you're going down and you see these gullies between the mountains and things, you know, you just know when you get there, there's going to be 900 bodies or whatever just laying down through because the planes come through and killed all of them. And then, so they're just laying there. I took my truck, I drove over top of bodies. I mean, Korean bodies, that's the way it was over there, you know. But I said it wasn't going to, you know, I'm here to do a job and that's it, I'm not going to, you know. So it didn't affect me in that way as it did some of the other guys. At least I didn't let it, even today, it doesn't bother me. It's, you know, something that's gone and passed, you know. I have no problem with it, like maybe some people do. It's the way that I am. Happy-go-lucky guy.
That's good, though. You got through all that.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself ever praying, or was it your training that got you through the hard times, or were you a religious person? I mean, how did you get through the hard times?
I'm a religious person, more religious now than I was then. My mother and father, they were very religious back during that time. And they prayed, and I'll say they prayed and got me through it. You know, 'cause my father and mother was, you know, they were prayer warriors. Yeah. But as far as me, yeah, I went to church because they took me to church. Sure. You know, most kids, you know, they take you to church. We church every Sunday, whether you know. And when I was in the military, I went to church because I was taught to go to church. But as far as being really religious, yeah, we prayed there because my buddy and I, we got in a foxhole, and oh boy, I was talking about weird. We drove in there, and then we dug a foxhole for that night I was telling you about. And man, did that ever... Oh, at night, they start shelling us at night. Here we sitting here with a truckload of white phosphorus, napalm. You know what that stuff would do to you. I know you heard that. And we got a foxhole not too far away. I said, man, how dumb could we be? We dug them in when we first got there, you know. And so the next day, of course, naturally, we moved our foxholes. But we sitting there, and the mortar's coming in. And every one, if you've ever been in one, you feel like it's going to come right in your hole. It'll go, pew. You can hear it whistling. Boom, then that's it, you know. And of course, the next morning you get up, and as they're doing the night, they're doing all the shelling. And the next morning you get up and you count your cows and see what happened. You know, say so-and-so got his hand blowed off, so-and-so happened, you know. And you go through this kind of stuff, and you figure out what happened. And Lomax, a friend of mine was Lomax, we made it, man, let's get out of here. And we moved to another place, you know. And every night that happened until we moved forward. Mm-hmm. I tell you, we drove day and night, and you be so tired, and you can't see. You're driving blackout. You know, if you heard of blackout with the vehicles, drive blackout. Certain lights, certain things. You know, that's a scary thing. Because we lost trucks that way because they couldn't tell what was going on. And I fell asleep. We've been driving like 2 or 3 days, and in a convoy in front, you like about 15 feet ahead, and you could see the little lights. But if you fell asleep and the convoy moved, and you wake up and you said, "Where are they?" Well, they may not be no more than a couple of feet ahead, or more. You couldn't see them. Well, that happened a couple of times, and you start driving, but you're in blackout, but you can't see. All you do is follow the truck in front of you, and you get there, and then there he is. But sometimes they bumped each other and hit each other, and stuff like that. But one time, a truck was going up, and they was firing all around us there, and they said, "Stay awake, stay alert." We're going through here, and the convoy before us, they got burned up, been bombed up, and they was burned up. But anyway, in Korea, they took all the bridges out over there. Just all bridges was taken out. They blew up all the bridges. Yeah. Well, when these trucks come along like this here, and if you didn't see the truck turn and go down, you missed. Well, we had a couple of trucks go just straight on over, and I'm behind, But that's the thing, you have to watch the truck because you couldn't see blackout, Yeah. And you go here and you go there. Oh man, that was something.
Yeah. What was the most difficult thing you had to do, or I guess the most difficult thing during Korea, or was it all difficult, or was it that bad for you?
For me, looking back at it, it was pretty bad. It was more,
you probably have already described some of the things, but I just thought maybe there was a particular.
There were some things I had this little Korean boy. I picked him up. I have a paper writing about it in the paper. We was up when that's like 40 below zero, and I saw this little kid who we pulled in there, and I had my Jeep, and he was eating snow, trying to stay alive. His name is Young Tae, and he was at that time he was probably about 7, 8, 9 years old, but they didn't look as old. Anyway, I picked him up and brought him with me. I took him with me, put him in the Jeep, and brought him, and he stayed with me. He stayed with me maybe 5 or 6 months, I forget, longer. I carried him with me, and then I rode back home to get some clothes for him, and have any clothes for him because my clothes were too big, and it was right up in the paper, in my hometown paper about all this. And I brought him back. Back to the company. And of course, the company always took care of, it was all right. The commander said it was okay, no problem with that. And in fact, we had another guy, had a little kid called Mike, another kid. But I had Young Tae, and he didn't speak any English. His parents and father and mother got killed, and he was just sitting there eating snow at night. Eating snow, trying to stay warm. We had a barrel with a fire going off in it. Anyway, I picked him up and took him home with me, and then before I rotated back, I had to let him go. So I took him to an orphan home. Then that was a bad breakup right there. That was a bad breakup. But and he called me Abaji, and sometime I'd come in when I'd go out in the fighting or into the upper lines, and then I come back to the camp, and he'd grab me, and he called me Abaji. Abaji in Korean means father, so that's what he called me, Abaji. That was pretty rough there. But the roughest part I can remember is being the cold weather. And when we first got there, we didn't have any clothing. We didn't have no Mackinaws, all this. We didn't have that. We had field jackets, and we had linings put in them from some of the people around, the Korean people to get our clothing. We didn't have a lot of clothing. I mean, and here it is 40 below zero, and you got a field jacket on, which is not very much, and of course your gloves and your shoes and whatever that was it. Until later on, the stuff started to come in, clothing and all this stuff, and you couldn't change. And when you go to a quartermaster changing facility, we just go in, you take all your clothes, leave your clothes, put on new clothes, and take right back off. That's the way it worked over there.
This young boy, how old was this Korean boy?
He's about 8 years old, 7, 8 years when I first got him.
Did you ever think about him anymore? Do you ever try to contact him after the war?
No, I think about him all the time. I got his pictures, what pictures that I took of him, which is not a very good picture. Yeah, it's a story. I got the printout on my at home in my newspaper.
You don't by chance have a picture of him, do you?
I do have, but it won't. I'll send it to you, but you probably won't be able to. What I have of him is not.
Email. You can scan it and email.
I'll scan it and email it to you. I have. It's not a very good picture. It's me and him together.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I said, my camera's about like this, but you can make out. You can say, well, this is.
Well,
yeah.
we might be able to enhance it.
You can use it. You might be able to do some more. I did some enhancing with it too, but I mean, you know, it's. I like it. It's real dark, but I lighten it up myself, you know, because of the deal. But I would try to do another one, and send you one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good story.
And I will send you the printout of the newspaper that I had that too.
Was the Chosin Reservoir maybe? Now you said you would go up and come back. What would you do when you'd go up? And you help the Marines or what?
Yeah, I was attached to the 180s. We was attached to the 187 Regimental Combat Team. It was airborne.
What was your rank?
My rank?
Your rank.
I was a corporal.
Okay, and it was airborne, you said?
Yeah, the airborne. 187 Regimental Airborne. And we'd go up. They would jump. We'd pick them up, bring them back, or whatever. We'd take them wherever there is to be. You know, they wanted us to jump. I didn't jump. I started to jump with them, but I didn't jump with them. I didn't jump over there. We didn't jump with them over there. And then we would come back and then pick them up, and then hauling ammunition and all the rations and different stuff like that. We hauled up front to different places, but we was attached to different units. That's where they did attach it with different units, and I was attached with different units.
So the Chosin Reservoir campaign went into 51. I mean, was this the toughest time for you in Korea, or did it get tougher later in 51?
Let's see. The toughest time was out Incheon, when I hit the invasion of Incheon. That was the toughest. I was new to me, toughest. There's other tough times. There was no easy times, because I can think back times where we went through the reservoirs, up through the reservoirs, and I almost blew myself up. It was a riverbed, and this older soldier of mine, and I went to use the bathroom. And there was no, you know, and I went to dig up a hole to do my business in the hole, and I dug up an anti-tank mine.
Oh.
I'm sitting there with an anti-tank mine, and I called this old soldier. His name was Miller. He's a World War II guy. I said, Miller, look at here, Miller. And he says, Ken, you done dug up an anti-tank mine. I said, man. And then we looked down the row. We could see where they were set, like, you know, all the way down. We looked down where they had them set for a tank. Well, see, it wasn't a personnel mine. I couldn't set it off. I didn't set it off. That was a time that really got me there. I mean, man. But there's several other times I almost rolled my truck. I did roll my truck one time. I rolled the truck. A 2.5 ton truck. I rolled it. We was going up, taking up and into the blackout area. Then we come back and get into the blackout areas. Always blackout areas. And I was squad leader, leading the trucks back. And of course, I had other guys. You know, there was some guys that had a few drinks. You know, a lot of them did all that over there. They don't need to say that they didn't. They did that. They did dope. They did everything over there. You know, but I never did. But they did. I did drink some. But they did do that. And when you got some guys in a convoy, say you got 7, 8, 9 trucks behind you, and one truck stopped and the other truck don't stop, well, you know, you get that. So I had to chew a couple of guys out about that, you know, but I knew what was going on, you know, stuff like that. But
did you ever have to carry a weapon or shoot a weapon?
oh yes, I had 45. Well, you got a picture of one there? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I carried a 45. We all had 45s. 45 and a carbine. We had an M2 carbine. M2 carbine, you might see, I have another picture I didn't have, an M2 carbine. Oh yeah, we fired our weapons all the time. We had 45s, and everybody over there was a cowboy. I put it that way. I carried mine up here, but most of the guys had them here. They had knives. They was cowboys, and we had our carbines. We had M2 carbines. M2 carbine, you could fire it automatic, or you could fire it one at a time. I was so good, I could just take mine, just go one at a time. You hold the trigger and you see just, you know, like that. And then we had the 50 caliber machine gun on the trucks, and you know, yeah, we fired the heck out of them. Yeah.
Well, just chronologically, after the Chosin Reservoir was finished, the beginning of 51. I mean, what else happened in 1951? Did you come off the reservoir and then finally spring hit? It got warmer. I mean, where were you fighting
Yeah.
in Korea after the Chosin Reservoir?
Wijanbu, we got run back, and then we came back. I was in Wonju. Was in Wonju, got stationed in Wonju, and we was fighting that in Wonju. And I had some friends back in Incheon. I had a girl that I kind of liked back in Incheon that I met, and another friend of mine. But we used to come back we had to take R&R. They give us I&R out of Wonju. And then we come back to Wijanbu. We got stationed up from Wijanbu close to the 38th parallel. And then that's where we stayed mostly there. And then we go back to Incheon. I think I rotated from Wonju or Wijanbu. So I rotated back on points. I had enough points, I didn't have to stay. When I left, the war was still going on. So I had enough points and they rotated me back. And the captain or the commander said, well, you know, I can keep you if I want to. I said, well, I want to go home, you know. But anyway, I came home. And as I remember, like I said, Wijanbu is where I rotated from back to the States in 1952. That was like February 52 when I came back then. Then, of course, I went back again.
But what about any more fighting in 51? Where were you guys at in Korea?
Oh, 51, we were working from Incheon to the Manchurian border, all this stuff I'm talking about, to the Manchurian border. And then we got run back. Pusan perimeter, we stayed there a while, and then we left from there and went up to Wonju and started moving back up. And then they set up the 38th parallel. I can't remember all the little towns and all, you know, all that we went through. But we just all over the place, really.
But after the Chosin Reservoir, it was the spring and then the summer of 51. I mean, did it get hot in the summertime? Remember that?
Yeah, it's got hot in the summertime. It wasn't all that bad. Like I said, I don't remember all the hot, the summertime. But yeah, we was at Wijanbu there, and not Wijanbu, yeah, Wijanbu and Suwon there, and when it was warm in that deal. And I came back to Incheon. We rotated back. We came back to Incheon to visit, but the company was in Wijanbu. We stabilized in Wijanbu, as I remember when I rotated out. And what they did after that, I don't know for sure. Like I said, this was in 52, 51, 52.
Were you supplying the troops or working on trucks? What were you doing? I mean, as far as the motor transportation?
We were hauling ammunition and supplies for the troops. And like I said, we was attached to the 187 Regimental Combat Team. And then we was attached to another unit, I forget which one that was. And we did all the work for them, what they needed to do.
That was airborne. What do you mean by airborne? They weren't...
Paratroopers.
Were you supporting the paratroopers?
We supported the paratroopers, yeah. They was paratroopers, yeah. They came out of Kentucky, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Yeah, they were called the 187 Regimental Combat Team. They were tough, yeah. They were some bad boys that came over there. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Our involvement in Korea. You watched the film the other day. We heard some things, but when you were actually over there, were you aware of why we were there, as far as politically, or just you're just doing your job?
Yeah, I knew why we were there. Yeah, and I was doing my job. That's the main thing. I was doing my job. I knew we were there to keep the communists from overrunning South Korea, and we spent some time in Seoul, Korea too. See, and when I went back through Seoul, Korea, going to Wijanbu, that's where you got there. But yeah, I knew why we were there. Yeah, like I said, we had others. The military was there before we got there. I mean, some occupation was going on there before the war started. I put it that way. And then after the war started, then they shipped us in there, and I knew what we were there for. Yeah, to keep North Korea from coming. And then the Chinese took over and all this kind. Then things just went crazy. After that. Yeah.
Well, when you came back, you said you went back to Korea?
Yeah.
What year?
61.
Oh yeah,
after the war, yeah. Because I put 20 in, see.
So you were okay. So you didn't leave Korea and then go back into civilian life. You were in the military.
I was in the military, yeah.
From 48 to 68, or
48 to 68, yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And what rank did you
20
actually
years.
retire on?
Sergeant first class, master sergeant. Well, they kept changing the ranks. Got to be master sergeant, then they switched it back. Same pay, but it was sergeant first class, yeah.
Do you think our country is forgetting about Korea, or do we ever know a whole lot about Korea?
Our country doesn't know a lot about Korea. Excuse me. People like you bringing it up now, where people are aware of what's going on. I remember when I came back to the States in '52 from Korea, you know, nobody knew what was going on except the people that had people over there. I mean, like parents, like my mother and father. My father was aware. He prayed every night. He was, when I came back, he'd tell about my sons and career, you know. But people didn't have people over there didn't know anything about it. They didn't. Cause when I came back, I forgot career. I mean, really, just, nobody ever mentioned, talked about it. When, you know, and then it finally ended. It was like it never happened. I mean, you know, people, you know. Of course, I lost my buddy over there. There's three of us went in the service together. Me, Slick, and Bill. We all had the same Social Security numbers. Well, George didn't make it back. He got killed in Korea. Newman came back, and I came back. We was all in Korea. But other than that, you don't hear that much about it. You know. Now I do, bro, because it's coming out more now. People saying, well, you know, that was a career, you know, that was 54,000 people lost and all this and that, you know, what's she talking about, you know? But they didn't like it, you know, what we were doing.
Did you tell me what happened to George? I forget. Did you already tell me that?
George.
The guy that was killed, your friend?
Yeah.
What happened to him again?
He got killed in Korea.
Were you with him?
I was not with him. He was in another unit. Newman, the Bill, I saw Bill a couple times. In fact, I didn't see George. Bill and I passed on the road one day and coming out of Sewell. He was on one, we just happened to pass each other, and it was really amazing. You know, hey, you know, what are you doing? You know, just he in one company, I'm in another company, and we just happened to see each other. But George, he didn't make it back, and I don't know what George was in. Was he in infantry or medical or what he was in? But George didn't make it. So we all went into service at the same time, see? And we all took our basic training, you know. I took mine, we all took basic training at the Fort Riley, Kansas, I believe it was.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's ask a couple of questions here.
Yeah.
First of all, what is, you know, being a veteran, Kenny, what does the American flag mean and represent to you as a veteran?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Today, the American flag means a lot to me as American flag. It means a lot to me to be an American today. But when I came back from Korea, it didn't mean a lot to me because being a black soldier and I was treated very, very bad. I mean, you may not, you're young, you don't remember all this kind of stuff. But when I came back from Korea, I could not go into places and eat with my uniform on. I was turned down. I went through a whole bunch of, I went through more things here when I came back as in the service and married my wife, and things I went through hurt me more than I was when I was in Korea. And I'm really, I came back, give you some pointers. I came back in '52. Well, we integrated the service when I was in Korea. The company I was in, we got in 2 white guys. But they were German guys. And those 2 guys came in and started, in 1950, the Truman said, okay, we're gonna segregate the military, so that's what we did. So here we come in. But anyway, when I came back to the States and I got stationed Fort Leonard Wood and I was moving all over the place. Well, this particular time before that though, this is before I got to Guam or even Okinawa, I went down to, I told you I went to school in Virginia, right? I didn't know. I'm a country guy. I come off the farm. I don't know what's going on. And I get on this bus at Fort Lee, Virginia, which was Petersburg, Virginia. And I was in town by myself. And I went to get on the bus, and the guy said, well, you can't sit there. Well, it didn't bother me. No, 'cause I thought somebody's seat. I didn't know. I said, oh, okay. So I moved on back, you know, but I didn't know what the deal was until I got to the back. Well, I can sit anywhere you want to. I just sat down right there. He said, oh, you can't sit there. That's all he said. He didn't say anything. So I went on back here and sat down. And then I looked up, and I saw a sign in the middle of the bus. White to the front, colors to the rear. Then I said, oh, that's why he's put me back there. See, I didn't know. I had never encountered that before. Of course, Boonville, we had some of that kind of stuff, but it wasn't, first time I encountered that, I thought, oh, that's what it is. Okay. Anyway, I finished my training, then I go to Korea, and then I come back now, right? And I'm Fort Bliss, Texas, I think was the first Fort Bliss, Texas. That was another time. Me and a bunch of white soldiers. I was only, at that time I was a sergeant, and they was with me. We was going to White Sands Proving Ground, New Mexico. I was stationed down there in the security area, and we go into. This was El Paso, Texas, and the girl says, "We can't serve him." We went in to get coffee in the morning. Oh, we can't serve him here. We can't serve him in the coffee. I said, "Oh, don't worry about it, guys." The guy said, "Oh no, if you can't eat here, I said, "No, go ahead and get your coffee. Don't worry about it. No problem." So this kind of thing makes me, Then I get to cut some story short. I get to Fort Leonard Wood. I get married. I got my wife and I got my kids. Now this is the hard part here. Wintertime, November. I get orders to go to. In fact, I applied for it to go to a medical equipment repairment school in St. Louis. And this time I had a house trailer. I got a trailer because you couldn't get quarters on posts at Fort Leonard Wood. So we had a trailer camp out from Fort Leonard Wood. And I said, oh, okay, so I'm going to take my trailer to to St. Louis, set it up, go to medical equipment repairment school. Then, do you know? You already know. I could not park my trailer in St. Louis. There was nobody who let me. Some guy, they tried so hard. I felt me the way I am. I felt sorry for them guys. Guys, one I was driving, the guy said, boy, at that time, or even now, I'm speaking, he didn't know who I was. He didn't know I didn't sound black. He didn't know what I was. So I said, oh yeah, bring it to the trailer, come on over. Yeah, you can park it. So I get in my big Oldsmobile and I drive over to, and he said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were black. He said, if I move you in here, all my attendants would move out. I said, don't worry about it, man. I understand. Just forget it. Don't worry about it. He said, okay. Now, can I buy you gas? I said, no, that's all right. So I go on back to my wife, and my wife and daughter is parked outside of St. Louis in a trailer. November, no heat, cold, I'm trying, and I'm a soldier, trying to get, So then I go to another place, and the guy said, oh yeah, we take you in here. I'm cutting some of these short. We take you in here, okay. I get there, and then he said, okay. And by the time I get back to my trailer with my wife, here he is behind me. I'm sorry, we can't let you in here. Can't let you in here. So to make the story short, this other guy, I said, we got to move. It was Saturday morning, I think Saturday. And the guy that was towing, it's called, there's a towing company that was towing my trailer. He was from Arkansas. He said, man, this is the worst thing I ever seen. He said, tell me what I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to pull your trailer for free. I'm not going to charge you anything. We're going to find you a place. I said, okay, find me a place. Okay. So he hooked up to the trailer, and we started down 44 Highway going into St. Louis. We're going to find a place. Well, I've been there before from there, and they turned me down and make the story short, and they apologized. I said, I know, but forgot about it. So when I got on the phone after that, I started telling, I'm black. Oh, okay, well, we can't park, So we got out there. So we went over to East St. Louis, Illinois. Well, you don't want to go over there. That's a dirty place. I said, I'm not going to leave my trailer over here. So we came back. Before we got there, we had a wreck with the trailer. Trailer jackknifed behind this truck and bent the front of the trailer up. So he had to report it in order for the insurance to be good. But he was going to do all this out of the goodness of his heart, which is the guy was the nicest guy I ever seen. He said, St. Louis is the worst in Arkansas. It's the worst place. Anyway, I said, yeah, you're right there. So anyway, to make the story short, back again, I finally wound up parking my trailer in a black guy's yard. He was supposed to be a deputy sheriff in the outskirts of St. Louis. That's where we wound up putting my trailer. Ran a line from his basement up, hooked the trailer up, and I stayed there until I went to school there and everything. And then I got stationed back at Fort Bliss, Texas, someplace after that. So when you asked me these questions, see, I knew that's going to come up. And I said, so I didn't feel good. I did not feel good at all. I got treated like a dog. And even in the military, I didn't get my promotion like I should have because of the color and because I looked young in some cases. I was turned down for a commission because he said, I knew I looked young, but I had the time and everything. And then other guys got promotion, and they would promote one time at Fort Leonard Wood there, they gave a promotion to a young white guy, and I'm sitting there with a black guy with more time, everything, and all the qualifications. So what they did, they promoted both of us in order to be, I know what's going on. And there's another guy that was a sergeant, he knew too. But anyway, the guy that gave the promotion to, He held his stripes about, this is staff sergeants, he held his stripes about 3 months and he got busted in Waynesville. I'm sitting here, they went ahead and had to give him the stripes, Then finally, it wasn't long after that, then they finally said, well, we'll give you sergeant first class. I got that, nobody even said a word. And when I even got staff sergeant, I didn't know I even got it. Nobody made a deal out of it. So these kind of things, make you think, and this goes on, oh, it went on for long.
Very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate thing. So yeah, as far as America goes, yeah, I love my country. I wouldn't want to live in. I've been all over the world. Being in the military, I've been all over the world. Let me tell you. So, and besides Germany, and Germany's a nice place, but I really live here and live in places else. I've been all over the Pacific, Japan, Okinawa, Guam, Hawaii, you name it. I've been there. But no, I love my country. That's one thing. But back then, before things got right, well, even today we have a struggle. They still struggle. You're gonna find those people. 'Cause I married a white girl. I'm married to a white girl. I got white kids. My family, and I'm mixed up myself. That's where I feel. I'm not all that. But you still got to treat me right. But we went through my wife and I, we didn't go through too many bad things. We've been married now like 38 years. But it didn't. They was treated, the people in Missouri and other places I went to treated me okay. When we went out, nobody said anything, nobody did anything. Cause I didn't look for them, it didn't make any difference to me one way or the other, see. Cause I don't look at myself as being one thing, one way or the other, but I like to be treated right.
What does freedom mean to you? And tell me about the price for freedom.
Freedom, freedom means being free of everything. Be able to do what you want to do. Compete with everyone on an even basis. That's freedom. Whether we have that now, I don't know. If I have the same qualifications as anyone else, I like to be considered as anyone of them. When I was in the military, that didn't happen. I had more qualifications than some other guys had, but they got the promotions. They got it, and other freedoms mean, free from all enemies and all any things that come into this country. We'll take care of that part. That's what freedom means to me, really.
Why is Korea referred to as a forgotten war? Why do you think that is?
I believe we got into that war, which was, I didn't see anything wrong with getting into the war and helping out the South Korean people and stopping that. But why it's forgotten? It shouldn't. I don't know what the American people was thinking about when we were there. That's the thing. They forgot. We didn't forget. The soldiers didn't forget. We're never going to forget. But why the Americans forgot? Maybe because of what? We just had World War II and they didn't want another war. I don't know. Because see, I went in 48. And the World War II in 45, something like that. And I went over in Okinawa and Guam and did some cleanup stuff over there. I was in engineers over there. And maybe that's why they try to forget Korea. I don't know. I don't know why they forgot it. I didn't forget it. No way. Well, anybody that fought in Korea didn't forget, that's for sure. But all Americans don't forget it. I guess there's some. But I don't know why they called it the Forgotten War. Well, the forgotten, it wasn't a war. That's the reason too, see. It wasn't like a World War III or II or I. It was just a little, what they call it? Conflict,
police
yeah.
action.
Police action, conflict, that's what they call it, yeah. So that's probably the reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you proud that you're a Korea War veteran?
Oh, yes. I'm very proud of that, yeah. I'm glad I've gone through it and came out okay. I'm proud of that, I escaped death several times, but I'm proud, yeah. I wouldn't, to go through it again at the same age I did, and the same thing I did, I would do that. But at this age, I'd do it, hard to say. But looking back at it, you look back at, it wasn't all that bad to me. Like I said, I brainwashed myself when I went there. And I do that, and I said, I'm going to be strong. Mm-hmm. This is me, I got to be strong. And I did that. And so I didn't, I tuned out anything else that was going to mess up my doing. I knew what was going to happen, and I was going to be prepared for it. Like when I see dead bodies, and I drove over dead bodies, I saw my soldiers all stacked up in truck like a bunch of frozen cattle. I expected that. And I saw guys hanging on tanks, bleeding all over the place, and people firing at you. Well, I was psyched for that. It didn't bother when I went to eat my sea ration that I warmed up on the truck. I warmed up someplace and I had to eat it next to a guy with a dead body here or somebody. You know, that didn't bother me. Couldn't say I couldn't eat. I did, but I seen people that couldn't, and I couldn't figure out why they couldn't. And anytime you saw a helmet or something laying out someplace, you got there and you walked to the helmet, you could figure there was a dead body laying under the helmet. That I was psyched for that. I did it myself. And so that's the way I feel over today. I don't have any problems, you know, nightmares or thinking about it. That doesn't bother me. And I think that's the one reason that I don't think about my buddy. I here the other day, I kind of teared up a little bit about a month or two ago. My little boy I was talking about. I was talking about, something came up, we was watching something, my wife and I thought about him. But that's the only time anything else that the kid, I thought about him. And then other kids I met over there, and this one kid I met in Wijambu, this was in, during the Korean War. I came back in 51 and saw him again. I mean, 61. Came back in 61 and there he was. Couldn't believe it. It was unreal. Well, we had a good time. Couldn't believe it. I said, he hadn't changed that much, you know, but he's grown up. But when I was there in 1950, he was eating, they're eating our leftovers, our trash, our garbage. They're eating our garbage. And that was a bad thing. A war is never good if you've ever been in one. Any country. If we ever have a war in this country, it'll be horrible. Because I was in Korea. The women turn to prostitutes, the little kids are nothing, and the men, they sell each other, it's bad. They steal, they do everything to make it. You know, they stole from us, they steal from us. Even after I was there the second time, these things were going on. And it's not any good. It's never any good. And that's what when I see these kids. And he was eating, we would take our trays and rake garbage, our food into their buckets. They'd take his buckets home and feed mom and pop. And the girls turned to prostitutes. This one girl I met, I was telling you about the girl in Incheon. When I met her, she was not a prostitute. She was just a nice girl, and this friend of mine, George B. Johnson, we used to go into a little hut, you know, and he was seeing his girlfriend, I guess, whatever. But I wouldn't have no relations at the time, and me and her was talking, you know, and this young girl, and she was a nice little girl. I guess she was probably 16, 17, and I was around the same age, 17, 18. And but we just got to be good friends and all, you know, stuff like that. But anyway, with the story that goes, I left when we moved out, and some of the guys took the girls, and then we moved on up, moved out in Incheon there, moved on out. And that's when we got up to Wijambu and on other places. And then when the guys started to come back on R&R, one guy, they called her mess kit from another era. It's the girl I was telling you about, they called her mess kit. They called her mess kit because she used to wash the mess kits for all the soldiers back in 47, sometime back when it was the quartermaster company was there. So that's how she got her name. But anyway, I got there and then came back, and one of the guys came back for R&R, came from the south back down to down to South Korea at Incheon, and he said, Bruce, I think mess kit done turned to a prostitute. And that's the little girl that I kind of liked a little bit. You know, never did bother anything. But I said, no kidding. He said, yeah. I said, okay. So when my time come to go back, I went back to there, and I saw her. And she had, you know. And so we talked and hugged a little bit. And she wanted to, I don't apologize. I didn't apologize for her, you know. And she thought, do you want a girl? I said, no, I don't want a girl. Because she thought if I didn't want a girl, I could have her. But she knew. I said, no, I don't want. No, I just come back to see you. That's all, you know. And so that's a story where wars is, you know, and that's not only, there's many of them like that over there. Mm-hmm.
We're just about out of time. A couple quick questions. Why did you want to talk to me today? I mean, what prompted you to want to be interviewed?
Be interviewed. Well, I want my word heard. The things that you asked me and the things that I've told you. You're probably the second person that I've talked this to. This, you know, there other than my wife, and we brought up sometimes, you know, different things. It's not something that I have to get out, you know, because you can tell me, you know. But now that it's out, it's good, you know. But you being such a nice guy that you are, you're easy to talk to.
How did the war change you from when you went in, through it, and got out of the military? And how did that change you as a person?
War didn't change me. I've always been, like some people say, my stepfather. He used to tell my mother, my father never was in, but my father passed away early. And my stepfather always, he was in World War II. And he used to tell my mother that the war changed him. War don't change him. Well, I can't, maybe I better not say that. It can change some people, depending on where it changes. But when you go in at my age, 17 years old, and you grow up, you're going to grow up anyway. And if you do, what are you going to do? I'm not going to say the Army changed me. The Army made me, I'm not going to say that. When I went in, I didn't smoke, and I was drinking a little bit. I never smoked a cigarette in my life. I went all through the Korean War, never smoked a cigarette, never did that. See, that didn't change me. I still don't smoke. And for drink, I don't drink anymore, and that stopped about 20 years ago. But it hasn't changed me. The Korean War hasn't changed me. I'm not bitter. When I come back to the States, the people, I'm not bitter about the way people treat me, or the way they did treat me. I'm not bitter at all. I feel great. So as far as I'm concerned, I have not changed. I'm glad the way that I am.
Are there things in life that remind you of the Korean War? Sights, smells, sounds?
No. Only when I see like Iraq or something like that, where the kids are laying around dead. People, that's kind of stuff you can say, well, I've seen that before. Something like that. But no, smells or sights, there's all the same. There's a lot of smells in Korea, as you probably know. The honey buckets and all that kind of stuff. But no, that nothing around here to remind me of anything like that. No.
Well, you're an exceptional person, Kenny. I'm glad to know you.
Thank you. You are too.
Yes, I feel that your story's gonna be a big part of what I'm doing, and it's very unique.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
So I'm going to ask you to do one more thing, and then we'll take a picture with the camera. But at the end of the film, you saw the veterans saluting into the camera.
Right.
When I ask you from where you're seated, can you give me a salute?
Yeah.
Give me just a second here.
Okay.
And we're going to grade this on a scale of 1 to 10. So give me. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Okay. Whenever you're ready, Kenny, look right in the camera and give me a salute.
Okay.
Excellent.
That good?
Excellent. Now stay there, man. I'm going to take a picture.